It's time for the Caravan.
It's time to check in with the Caravan. Greg, what do you got for us
The Caravan, no matter what, stays in the news, and I think you'll be familiar, Anthony, this week that a group of migrants approached the border. They closed it down. The U.S. Customs officials actually used tear gas on it. It's been on them. It's been a huge story. Children were there. The president denying that they used the tear gas on children, even though there's video of it. And the migrants on the Mexican side of the border continue to try to get across.
Listen, first of all, let me go right off the bat. I think it's insane to use tear gas on children. It's so easy to get them to cry normally that you don't need to waste the gas. Tear gas is for adults. For kids, you could just like throw shampoo in their eyes. Do you know what I mean? As long as it's not Johnson & Johnson, you're gonna get some tears there. Secondly, I've crossed the border at Tijuana. I've gone to Tijuana for the night and come across.
We've gone together.
I got tear. You were not with me. This was just me and Paul McGoldrick one night where you went home. We were in San Diego drinking.
That's
took
right.
a cab to Tijuana.
I did once, not with
and
you.
if you go across the border, even as an American citizen, even as the probably greatest American citizen of all time, I got tear gassed. It's just what happens.
I've been tear gassed before.
At the Tijuana border. Let's go back to how this will affect them in the coming weeks, as a team, athletically. Because they showed me a lot. If you can pick up your kids one under each arm and run that fast from a cloud of tear gas, then that shows me something. That shows me that you belong. Maybe you're not a starter, but you're going to be good in the locker room.
So you're saying that this, like the Caravan, the struggles that they're having at the border almost serve as kind of like a Caravan combine. To whittle out for the talent evaluators who can do it, who can't.
It's a little bit of a combine. It's a little bit to see who really stood out in those pictures. And there was certainly like a mother who seemed like she could play center for the Niners. And I mean that as a compliment. Like she was really carrying those kids away from the cloud of tear gas.
Exactly what photo you're talking about. Too.
Yeah, where she's running away from the full
It's
force
like you
of our
don't see
military.
that. You don't.
And it's
You
pretty
don't see
amazing.
like some cornerback from Ohio State running the 40 with kids in his arms.
But also, the Caravans had it too good for so long. They needed to take an L on this one as a character building thing. It's like if you're undefeated going into the playoffs, you almost won a loss right before the end. And I think the Caravan having to backtrack a little bit. I think that's a character building thing. I think that next time when they get across the border, once our military runs out of tear gas to use against them and they're able to enter the country seeking asylum, that I think it's just going to help them win some more games.
So you're saying the migrants in this case are almost like the 2007 Patriots, like they've been winning by too much. It's been too easy for them during the season. They're undefeated, and that this obstacle, this struggle could help them.
Listen, let me make this clear, Greg. Let me make this clear. Let me speak this in a language you can understand. No, okay? The Caravan is the 2016-2017 Vegas Golden Knights. No one expected anything from them. They didn't even have a fan base to start, but now they are all anyone's talking about. People are buying the gear. If you go to Las Vegas, you'll see a lot of people wearing Migrant Caravan shirts. I think that they're the Vegas Golden Knights. I think the Caravan is all of us.
Our next story is from the NFL involving Baker Mayfield. You may have seen Anthony. He was noticed, got attention last week for at the end of their win over the Bengals, in which Hue Jackson, the former Browns coach, was just fired by them, was on the sideline, came over to kind of give him a hug after the game. Baker Mayfield didn't want to give him the hug, just kind of like shook his hand, had some things to say about him after the game that essentially he didn't appreciate, Hue Jackson now working for the enemy and the way that he left Cleveland.
And what do you think about that? I've seen people be like, oh, that was bad, Hue Jackson did that. I think that if someone fires you, you can go do whatever you want. They fired him. He's got to get a job.
Yeah, but I don't mind Baker Mayfield being real and not having to pretend like he likes this guy, which he clearly doesn't. Like the more telling thing to me was he was responding on social media to some guy was criticizing him. That's who really annoys me, are the people that have been criticizing Baker Mayfield. I don't have a huge problem with Hue Jackson, but the people that are criticizing Baker Mayfield for just kind of sticking up for himself and saying what he wants.
I think it's a bad look for Baker. I think it's like criticizing an ex. He's not wrong, but it's a bad look. You know what I mean? You don't have to hug him. And this is like for all our child listeners out there, all of the small kids, this is like a learning thing. If an adult man wants to hug you, You don't have to let him. You could do what Baker Mayfield did, but you do have to do what Baker Mayfield did and let him rest his hand on the back of your head. You have to let him touch the back of your head and hold it there for at least 1 second, and then let it go. I'm against Baker Mayfield. I think it's. I think he looks classless. Because he keeps on going back to this.
No,
he keeps on
he's
trashing
just
him. His coach got. He doesn't like the coach. That's fine. But the cool thing was when the Browns guy intercepted the ball, took 2 steps, stepped out of bounds just so he could hand it to Hue Jackson. That was a baller move. Hue even handled it cool, gave him a little slap on the helmet, just dropped the ball at his feet, which was the coolest thing Hue could have done. I'm on team Hue Jackson.
What?
I hope he coaches the Bengals next year, and I hope he and Baker Mayfield make love after the next time they play.
You gotta keep your hug circle tight.
Again, don't have to let someone hug you, but you do have to let them hold their hand on the back of your head. That's a good touch. Greg, what's the next headline? Make it a good one. Make it something serious, something like about sports for once.
It's a great one. It's Cordero Patterson, the New England Patriot wide receiver and running back, added to his versatility this week when he showed that he can squish, he can grab some dick and balls. When like if that's what you're looking for in your running back / wide receiver, like he can do that. Henry Anderson, one of the defensive tackle of the Jets, was just kind of standing above him and lingering there a little too long, like shoving his crotch kind of in Patterson's face, and Patterson gained some notice basically by just kind of grabbing it and pushing up. When I heard about this play, I thought it was like a stiff arm situation. You know what I mean? Like he's running down the sideline, somebody's trying to tackle him, he squished some dick and balls. And you're like, okay. But then you see the play. It's well after the whistle. I got to say, after watching it, and let's play the clip. I mean, he clearly really grabs there and really gives a good squeeze. It's like wrenched it.
Yeah, it sounds painful. Let's play. Just show it one more time. I just want to see. Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. You can see it. He doesn't lead with the helmet. And I think if you're going to grab a dick and balls, are we going to protect quarterbacks and defensive and offensive coordinators more than other players? Yes. But if you don't lead with the helmet, go ahead and squish dick and balls. Back in the day when the NFL was a man's league, that was every single play. They threw a flag if you didn't do that.
It was fine. Dick Butkus, forget about it.
Yeah, that's why he can barely walk today, because of all the dick and ball squeezes they got in between plays. But yeah, it was a penalizable play. They didn't always throw a flag if you didn't do it, but it was one of the tenets behind the game.
It's one of those things that it is tough with kids. Like you think about, how am I going to explain this to them? Like what the NFL really used to be and what it is now. Because as far as I saw, like there should have been no flag on this. He's outside the pocket.
It's
totally illegal.
It's totally illegal. If you're not allowed to grab their dick and balls after the play, put a dress on them and call it something else, because it's not football.